Alrighty guys, we are going out today. It's a nice beautiful day. We've got, I don't know, roughly 10 knots of wind, which is just awesome. We're gonna go out and show you how we move this giant hunk of a boat with just the wind and make it go where we want it to go, not drift into anything hard. Yeah, let's do it. Alrighty, we've made it out to where we want to put up our sails. Now we're gonna walk through basically each one of them. We're gonna do mizzen first, and then main, which we have an in-boom furler for our main, which has its perks and has its drawbacks. And then we've got 2 foresails. That's what we're gonna get ready to set up. Here we go.
Now, before we get into all this, I suppose it would be helpful to go over a little bit of sailing theory. First, there's this thing called point of sail. Essentially what it is the direction of travel of a vessel in relation to the wind around it. In this case, the boat's point of sail is directly into the wind, which is basically impossible. Instead, to sail upwind, a boat is forced to zigzag, or tack, back and forth to gain any forward ground. This point of sail is called being close-hauled. The wind passes over both sides of the sail and turns the sail into a giant wing, and thanks to a little thing called aerodynamics, the boat is literally pulled forward. As the boat continues to turn away from the wind, the points of sail are close reach, beam reach, broad reach, and run, or sailing downwind. Each of these points of sail have their own unique sail adjustment, and learning these basics is key to having an enjoyable sailing experience.
Alright, mizzen is pretty straightforward. To get the mizzen up, you obviously want to attach the halyard, which we have a cable. I don't know if you can see it in the sun up there. We've got a cable halyard. It goes all the way up to the top of the mast, and it comes out right here. It's been spliced to a line, and that goes around this winch here. Now, you probably won't need the winch because the mizzen is a fairly small sail held in by these jack lines. And just start pulling it and watch the sail as you pull it up. You'll see that first batten has made it past the jack lines. The second batten is almost caught on that second jack line back there. You see that? Look right back here. Do you see right there? Yeah, that's where it gets caught sometimes. So we just give it a little pull. Okay, you're good. And now it's past that jack line. Okay, if it starts to get heavy, you can wrap it around the winch. Good. Okay, true it. Go ahead and wrap it one more time. Yeah, true it. Go ahead and winch it just a little bit. Get it nice and tensioned. Okay, that's good. Now go ahead and cleat it off. You can wrap it there, around, and turn, and a twist. Perfect. Just like that. And that is the mizzen up. Alrighty. Okay, main. Our main is a little bit different than other people's mains. Ours is furled up inside of this boom, which means we need to do a couple things. We have a furling line for the main, which we have to loose a furling line. So the furling line is our center one. We're gonna undo that one. That opens up the furling line, and then we're gonna make sure that red line, which is our furling line, is all the way pulled out and ready to essentially deploy and go out that direction. If it has any kinks or twists in it, that will probably get caught. And then we ensure that our halyard is also hooked up, which is the line that's hooked up here on top of the sail. And we'll start giving that a pull, and the main will start unrolling out of this and roll all the way up. Now, once it's all the way up, we can close our furling line. And one of the things that I do on this boat is after we've closed the furling line, I tension the furling line again and then lift the halyard up just a little bit more. So I've saved myself some room at the top, because what you end up with is this little bit of sag right there at the spot where it comes out of the boom. And so by tensioning it just a little bit more, see, I can get rid of that sag. So yeah, there we go. From here, we're gonna open the main sheet. This allows us to let our boom, which is this big guy here, let the boom out. Okay, we'll go right about there. So now we're off the wind. The sail is not really doing anything because we've let the sheet out. Now we're gonna start pulling the sheet in, and it's gonna start catching wind. Good job, buddy. Good job. Keep going. Yeah. Once you stop the flapping of a sail flaps like a flag when it's pointed essentially into the wind. As you bring it in, which is what we're doing here, we're bringing this boom in, it's gonna fill with wind, the flapping will stop, you'll notice your boat start to what's called heel or tip over to one side, which is the downwind side, and your boat will start moving forward. It's essentially grabbing wind a little bit like a wing on a plane, especially if you're sort of going into the wind. You have wind that is coming around and flowing around the forward side of the sail and hitting the back side of the sail, and it creates less pressure in the front, more pressure in the back, and it pulls you forward, which is really cool. Alrighty, here we go. Good job. Yeah. All right, one of the things we didn't go over for the mizzen is the mizzen does exactly what the main does. It's just a smaller sail. It's got a boom, it's got a sheet to let the boom in and out, which is called easing and trimming. And this is our sheet right here. It's even labeled nice for us. Look at that sheet. That's our boom. So if I put this out, this, see, it's gonna relax and go out. If you pull it, it brings it in. So going upwind, you want it sheeted in almost as much as you can. There is a thing called oversheeting. You can go too far. And same with downwind, you can let it out too much. Then you start spilling wind. So what you want to do is let it out until it flaps. When in doubt, let it out, and then start bringing it in until you notice the sail has stopped flapping, and it's you can feel it. You can feel like it catches the wind. Oh boy, boss, you got nothing now. And your boat will start moving. So, all right, foresails. All right, the next thing that we're gonna do is put out our foresail. Now, our foresails are up here. We've got two of them. We have a staysail, which is the one closer to the mast, and our jib, which is the one that goes all the way to the top. That's all the way out on the bowsprit out there. And those are controlled also by sheets, just like the main is controlled by this sheet here that lets the boom out and in. These are controlled by sheets. So we have a sheet here for the staysail. And it hooks up here. These awesome sails we got from Precision. This one is on an auto tack. Tacking is when your bow goes through the wind in either direction, because you can't sail straight into the wind, right? You have to zigzag up it. Each one of those zigzags is called a tack. And this is an auto tack system. Essentially, it's a slide that allows that sail to change which side it's on, just like this would sort of change what side it's on based on where the wind is coming from. And since the wind is coming from that way, it's blowing that sail off to that side. The same would happen with this one. The sail would come out, the sheet would auto tack over to this side, allowing the sail to be over on this side. The big sail, the jib, is also controlled the same way. You can see it up there. Two different sheets. One going down this way to the starboard side of the boat, and another one going all the way down to the port side of the boat. Pulling on either one of those will unravel or unfurl this sail, and it will come out. We don't have to raise these like we had to raise these, because they're already raised and in place and then just wrapped around the stay that they're on. So as we pull this, initially, like right now, I can pull it, nothing is gonna happen, because just like with our main, it's on a furling system. This line right here retracts it or furls it back up in place. So we need to loose this line, and then when we pull on our sheet, it will unfurl, and we'll have sail outs. That's what we're gonna do. This is the side that we're going to pull on, because we know that because the wind is coming from that way, the sail is naturally gonna come out on this side. So we want this sheet to be the one that holds it in. Okay, what's the first thing we have to do before we pull on this? Why won't it come out right now? Because the furler's closed. Remember, the furler is what brings it in, and it's stopping it from going out right now. So let's go ahead, undo the furler. Good. Okay, make sure that this line is loose and ready to go out. And I'm actually gonna hold on to this line a little bit, because we're turned off from the wind, as he starts to pull it and it comes out, it's gonna wanna try to unwind because the wind is grabbing it. So by holding on to our furler here, we can sort of control it coming out instead of it just unraveling super fast. stop right there. I'm not gonna let it come all the way out. Okay, from here, lock it back into the self-tailing system. Because we don't have a cleat back here, you can put it one wrap through the self-tail and it cleats it in there for you. Then I'm gonna close the furler, because right now, it's actively trying to pull out even further. Close that. Now that the furler is closed, it can't go out anymore, and you can see we've got our sail out. It's not unfurled all the way. I left a little bit of room, makes it a little easier to tack because we have a really big jib. But that's putting out our big jib. It's pretty straightforward. And we picked up like a knot and a half, just putting that joker out. I want to show you in a sort of a visual way what it looks like when a sail catches wind. And we can do that from the back of the mizzen here. All right, as I let the mizzen sheet out, the boom is gonna go out because the wind is coming from that way. So as we let it out, it goes out, and then you notice it starts to just flap. Once it's flapping, you know it's not really doing anything, it's just acting like a flag. We can pull the sheet, and as we pull it, you'll notice the wind, the sail will stop flapping, and it'll start to shake, which sort of looks like it's catching it now, like a big bowl. And you can actually feel it as you pull it. So as you pull this right here, right at first, there's hardly any tension at all. It's not really doing anything. If I let go, it's not really doing much. But as I pull it in, if I was to let go from here, it actually yanks on it. And the more you pull it, the more it grabs, the harder this is to pull. And you want to pull it right to where you feel like it's got good tension, and then cleat it off. So again, letting it out, you can see it just immediately turns into a flag. It's not really doing anything. You pull, hooks up to the wind, and cleat it off. So I know you can hear our engine in the background. We never shut it off because we've got kind of light winds, and I just don't feel like drifting into any of the random little things like this that are around here. We've got a handful of them. There's another one that's here. There's another one just off the screen here. So I leave it on just sort of for safety, but we don't have it in gear at all. We're just completely out of gear. We're not throttled, so all that we're moving right now, we're moving 3 knots. That's all just sails. So of course the most important thing is to just know where the wind is coming from, which is that direction, and then where you want to go is going to be an adjustment of your sail. You want your sail to catch wind if you're going downwind, or if you're going upwind, you want your sail to act like a wing. Fascinating stuff.
Yep.
Anyway, that's about the gist of getting this big old tub to move with just wind. And yeah, we're doing pretty good right now. We've got 9 knots of wind. We're doing 4.5 knots just to cruising. So we've got main, mizzen, and our jib, which is way out there. All right, I'm gonna cut upwind a little bit, guys, because look, we've got an obstacle right in front of us. There is a reef directly in front of us. We want to turn away from that reef. So we need to look at the direction of the wind, which it looks like it's based on our flag, right? It's coming from that way. So we'll need to turn upwind, which means everything is gonna need to get sheeted in, right? Because as we turn upwind, things get sheeted in. So grab your winch handle on that guy and start cranking that in. Yeah, we're almost in irons. We're getting pretty close to upwind, right? But look, see, now we're not headed for that reef anymore. Now we're headed this direction, towards a different reef, way over there. But we're gonna come out and turn around this one and head straight back that direction.
know a lot of this stuff is probably fairly elementary, dear Watson, fairly elementary to most of you guys that watch our channel. You guys are probably all sailors or have been sailing before and know all of this. But I thought it might be helpful for just some people that follow us that have never been sailing before, and they want to know like how a boat works, and it's really pretty straightforward. But anyway, I think that's about it. Look at all these cool kayakers out here. Well, that about concludes our sort of basics on how to sail this boat. I'll throw a little bit of footage up on how we get them down. Not really going to walk through it. I'll just sort of show it. It's basically the reverse of everything we did. Furl things back in, pulling on furling lines instead of sheets, or pulling on furling lines instead of halyards, and the sails will furl up, or they'll furl in to the boom. And that's it. Pretty sweet. Hopefully I didn't sound like a know-it-all. I'm definitely not a know-it-all. There's lots of people out there who are much better sailors and know a lot more than I do. But we've sailed on this boat for a year, and we've got to know her pretty well, and wanted to kind of show you guys what we do.